I want to say welcome to everybody to our November Learning Lunch. I want to introduce Laura Dugovic. Laura brings health and wellness to people with multiple modalities, from sound bath to eye movement processing for trauma. She is intuitive, compassionate, and approachable. I'm really excited to introduce you to her wisdom and her enthusiasm for life. I'm now going to turn the time over to Laura as she teaches us about practical mindfulness. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited to be here, you guys. Really quickly, I am going to share my screen. One thing that's not mentioned on my little introduction of myself is I'm a very enthusiastic person and I talk really fast. So don't think that the meditation and the mindfulness isn't working. It's just the way I came. Okay. So I promise it works, but you still will be fully who you are, no matter how zen your inner world becomes. So just know the more excited I get, the faster I talk. And I find when I try to slow it down, it actually really doesn't work well for me. My brain slows down with my speaking. So trust me, just go with whatever speed my brain wants to go at today. Okay, so I'm going to click into presenter, select this, and share with all of you. And then let's see. I think we're ready to go. Michelle, can you guys all see that okay? Okay. All right. So about me, just a little bit really quickly. I'm a wife. I've been married for 22 years and I'm the mother of 2 boys, ages 20 and 13. And I'm a meditation teacher and a sound meditation practitioner, as Michelle said. And I'm also a certified hypnotist and also a doula and childbirth educator. I had 10 years of very busy, active doula work. I also authored a manual on childbirth called Blackwell Birth. And I've educated over 600 couples through my 9-hour course. I also, I kind of feel like I just like to change things up every 4 to 5 to 6 years. So I also worked as an apparel designer and marketing director for a large network of prep schools. And during that time, I was also the head coach over their cheer program. I founded and began the cheer program and then head coached it, and it had over 130 cheerleaders, ages K through 12, grades K through 12. So I had a very high cortisol 4 years in that position. And on January 1st of 2020, I experienced a life-threatening health crisis. And just as I thought I was pulling through and going to be okay, what I didn't know about the mind and the body, which every practitioners here really definitely understand, is that a trauma response set in. And I had a dysregulated nervous system. And I began having, for the first time in my life, crippling panic attacks, crippling anxiety. I started to experience hypochondria or health anxiety, which is ruminating. My mind was constantly just trying to keep me alive and avoid danger. And I eventually lost the ability to drive just because the panic was so all-consuming that it inhibited that ability. And it then developed to where I couldn't even leave my home. And then I couldn't leave my bedroom for fear of triggers. So my world just got smaller and smaller and smaller until I found tools that helped me take my life back in the middle of 2020. So one thing that helped so much, and as Michelle mentioned, I've now certified in this, but I went to a woman who does eye movement processing. She had a huge wait list. It took a while to get in to see her. And I really suffered as I waited because I was in a bad state. But once I finally got in to see her, after 2 sessions, I had hope. After 4 sessions, I was able to drive again. And then at 6 sessions, I finally came home to myself and felt at home in my body for the first time in over a half a year. Also, other tools I used were meditation, yoga, sound meditation, and time in nature. I started gardening. I go outside and ground every single day with bare feet and being in the sunlight. I do love Arizona, and we are in our golden time. Aren't we so excited for November 1st? We're entering the magical season, and I'm so excited. But let's jump in today. We're going to be talking about practical mindfulness. So what is mindfulness? And there are several definitions. So we're going to touch on a few different things because there can be confusion in the area. And the truth is there are just lots of definitions. But 2 that I want to focus on right now are 1, the dictionary definition is 1, the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. And then number 2 is a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. And it's used as a therapeutic technique. And this is the definition I definitely used as I started to get tools and knowledge and understanding to start calming my body. when those intrusive thoughts of, okay, what's wrong? Is something wrong? Oh, my heart's beating really fast. Am I having a heart attack? It was just calmly acknowledging nothing has gone wrong here, putting my hand over my heart and leaning in. I talk to my clients all the time. I would lean into the discomfort and I would make friends with the discomfort and I would be okay with the discomfort. And that was such a powerful tool to keep me from that cycle, right? It started causing breaks in the cycle of fear. So, a few things mindfulness is not. So mindfulness is not obscure or exotic. It's so important that we understand it's familiar to us because it's what we already do and how we already are. And it takes many shapes and goes by many names. Mindfulness is also not a special added thing that we do. We already have the capacity to be present, but we can cultivate these innate qualities with simple practices that are scientifically demonstrated to benefit our lives. And I think that's so important. I'm not asking you to adopt this random foreign thing that has no part in you. Awareness, true presence, and mindfulness is part and parcel to who and what we really are. But in this highly distracted world, it becomes more foreign to us, but it's not. It's coming home to who and what we really are. And mindfulness is evidence-based. We don't have to take mindfulness on faith. Both science and experience demonstrates its positive benefits. And right off the bat, I just want to give you all some simple practices that you can try out right now to experience more mindfulness in your daily lives. And the first one is the breath, right? And we all know this as practitioners. One of the first gateways to hacking the actual physical symptom, your body's physiology, is through the breath. So simple breath is simply the act of breathing in and breathing out in full presence and conscious awareness. And Eckhart Tolle says one breath in and out is a meditation. And I just love that from him. And I love Camille Smith, who talked to us last month on like moving our body and how she's my yoga instructor. So we call her Yoga Camille now. But Camille, she often says in her yoga sessions, I am breathing in now. I am breathing out now. And as someone with such a busy brain, I love her. I so appreciate when she says that because I would notice, oh, my thoughts are racing. Okay, right into the breath. And let's all do that right now, actually. Okay, so everyone empty your lungs, empty out, get ready. And now just saying to yourself, I am breathing in, nice, deep, full breath. And I am breathing out now. And I love it. I call this like the Lay's potato chip. You know how they say, oh, you can't just have one. If, we go, I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time for this. Well, if you will take time for just that one breath, you'll notice like, okay, that felt really, really good. And let's just do 3 or 4 cycles of that. And every single cycle can anchor us, ground us, and help us feel so much more strong, stable, and settled in our daily lives. So the next one is mindful eating. And you'll hear about this a lot, especially when people are trying to redesign their relationship around food or heal relationships to food. They can practice mindful eating, which is simply the practice of being fully present in the process of eating, not scrolling social media, not having TV going on in the background, and not even carrying on a conversation or dinner conversation, but taking time to eat purposefully and very mindfully, noticing all of the taste, honing in on your taste buds, noticing the taste crossing your tongue, chewing more slowly and chewing more bites, right? People will joke about Americans, we do everything faster. So chewing, they say, oh, you need to chew a bite 11 to 14 times. And I'm like, that's so foreign to me normally, but when we try it, we just notice that it feels better. We feel settled. It also mixes the saliva. There are a lot of physiological benefits, like our enzymes in our mouth help break down the food. It aids digestion. It helps so many things to just be a little more mindful with our eating. Another thing you can try is mindful driving. Driving can be a very stressful event for a lot of people. And so I now have a practice when I'm at a stoplight, that's my opportunity to go to the simple breath or do a body scan and notice, oh, I'm holding stress and tension in my shoulders and my back. When I was in college, I worked a job with a clothing designer, and I had to drive through a snowy canyon to get up to work every day. And I started getting the craziest knots in my back. And now I think back to this mindfulness and this awareness, and it's like, oh my goodness, if I could just do a body scan every 5 minutes when driving that canyon, I could have probably avoided a lot of the muscle tension and issues that I dealt with. But mindful driving is amazing. So just having the goal, when I get to a red light, I'm not going to be frustrated because am I going to be late and dang, I missed this light, but I'm just going to take that as an opportunity to breathe, to be really present and breathe. And then there's the tortoise meditation. A good friend told me about this about 10 years ago, and I love it. So tortoise meditation is simply giving yourself the goal of slowing down. And you can set a specific amount of time, like an hour, 2 hours during like one whole day. And I always warn people, it's not the sloth at the DMV in Zootopia. Okay. We're not being super dramatic about this, but just going more slowly. When you enact the tortoise meditation in your own life, you will notice how much you used to be rushing. And we're just going to get to the next thing. And we think that if we're doing something in a rushed way, it's helping us get where we need to go. But we'll find we get so much more done if we slow down and we do things purposefully and with intention. So try that out. When I chop vegetables, I'm just chopping vegetables as just methodically, not slowly, but just peacefully. Okay. And then the other thing I like to add to this is a gratitude practice. So if I'm doing the dishes and I'm just being very intentional about my dishwashing, I can also be so grateful that I have running water coming out of my faucet, that I have beautiful dishes, and that I have a home, a table to put this on, food to put on those dishes. So many amazing things to be grateful for. And so I like to combine the tortoise meditation with a gratitude meditation. And then let's go deeper with another definition and kind of deep dive into the nitty gritty of mindfulness, okay? Because it can go so much deeper than regulating our nervous system, which, let's be honest, just that is the hugest win in our day and age, but it can go so much deeper. So let's go deeper. And the American Psychological Association's definition is mindfulness is awareness of one's internal states and surroundings. And they go on to say mindfulness can help people avoid destructive or automatic habits and responses by learning to observe their thoughts, emotions, and other present moment experiences without judging or reacting to them. And as I mentioned just a little bit earlier, get curious about them. Let's get really, instead of judging them and pushing them away or fully giving over to fear or panic or frustration, let's get curious. And one way that I do this, and it's the simplest way, is asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? And I want to tell you all a little story about my grandma. Excuse my voice. I have Halloween voice. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute so I can actually just talk to you guys. But that is a picture of my beautiful grandma, who is so amazing, and I love her so much. And this spring, I was traveling with my family, and we were staying at my brother's house, and I was just getting ready to head out the door to buy groceries and do so many things that day. I had this huge to-do list, right? And I'm just heading out the door and ready to go. So right as I'm getting ready to leave, I get a text, like a group text from a family member saying that my grandma's health was declining very rapidly. And she had been declining slowly over time. She was 91. And so it was expected, but it was a very sudden decline as to, compared to what was expected. And my grandma has suffered with Alzheimer's for the last 10 years. My grandma has been without her sweetheart for 19 years. He passed away quite young at 67. So he passed away much earlier than she would have expected. And they were best friends. They did everything together. And she truly has been lonely and missing him ever since. And so when I got this text, I thought, good for you, Grandma. Yay, Grandma. Okay, she's doing it. She's gonna go. I'm so happy for her. And then I just headed out the door and I didn't text that or anything, but I thought in my heart, oh, good for you, Grandma. Because I don't believe, my personal faith tradition is I believe that we continue on. I believe that I am a consciousness that will continue on, right? And so I just thought, good for you. Get out of here. Bodies break down and they get really painful, and it's okay to be out of here. So I hopped in the car, and this was just this year. So I was able to mostly heal the panic disorder. I do not have regular panic attacks. And I start driving down the road, and all of a sudden, all of the panic symptoms started coming in, and my hands went numb and my arms went numb. My face started going numb. And then of course the brain starts going, wait, what is this? What is this? I'm so, okay, this can't happen. No. I can't have this happen again. This can't be what I experienced. We can't go back to 2020. 2020 was too hard. And then I have tools now, lucky for me, right? So I stopped the thoughts. I pulled over to the side of the road, and I just asked myself, okay, I said, I tuned in. I put my hand on my heart. I said, okay, body, what is going on? And I said, what am I feeling right now? And immediately to my mind, the thought came, you're sad. Like, hi, you're really sad. And it doesn't matter that your grandma was ready to be done with this life. It doesn't matter that she had dementia. It doesn't matter that 90 is a great age for someone to pass on. She was your grandma and you loved her and you're sad. Even though we can trust the processes of life, we don't cognitively bypass, you're really sad. So I just sat there in the car and just had the greatest release where I just cried and I felt gratitude for my grandma and so much gratitude that she's such an amazing person that I got to have in my life. It was so beautiful. And every ounce of that panic and anxiety went away. And in fact, that sadness was replaced with joy, with ecstasy, with profound gratitude, and being 100% in the seat of my soul, right? Thank you, Judy. Like it's so real, right? And that was when I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a life hack, right? This is the hack. This is the trick. This is how we heal. And this is how we stay on the path of healing, is to continue to feel and not cognitively bypass. And mindfulness is noticing, oh, whoa, wait a minute. Are we just jumping right over to, collect $100 and pass go? So I'm going to keep sharing. So, but it's really powerful. And this next little slide is great. Mindfulness gives us space to notice, honor, and process our feelings. Mindfulness allows us to tune in and actually notice how we're feeling. And then as we strengthen the habit of mindfulness throughout the day, we will find that we increase our ability to allow our feelings to surface without judgment or resistance. And as we honor our feelings, they can become comfortable and familiar. Then, as we have made space for these feelings and as we allow them to become comfortable and familiar, we increase our ability to process our emotions more fully. I always say to my clients, let feelings have their say and have their day so they can go away. They're meant to come, but they're also meant to pass. And when we don't let them have their say and have their day, they get stuck. And we all know that in the fields of work that we're in. I love what my friend Camille posted on her Instagram a couple months ago. PAIN is a great acronym for pay attention inside now. Any physical, emotional discomfort or actual pain is our body's call to us. The biggest thing I say so much lately is my body is my friend. Pain is just another way that our bodies are trying to say, there is something that's really hurting. And pay attention inside now and get curious about what that might be. Also, the other thing I love is, so like I was saying in the car, I can't go back there. I can't go back to panic attack. I can't go back to anxiety. I don't want to feel anxiety again. I can't ever go back there again. Try changing that to, I'm willing to feel anxiety again. I'm willing to feel whatever I need to feel to awaken. Because painful feelings are just our bodies going, hey, you're asleep in the dream. You're trapped. You're in a nightmare. Wake up. It's our body saying, hey, wake up. This isn't totally true. Anxiety is saying, hold on. There's a disconnect between what you're believing and what we know to be true in here. So let's be still for 5 minutes. And we don't have to be afraid of what that disconnect is. Figuring out where that's happening can set us free. And what I tell my clients is, in the newfound awareness that mindfulness brings, we can identify toxic and inaccurate thought that may undermine our ability to progress. So everyone right now, just take a moment to think of something that's bothering you this week and try to be extra judgy about it, okay? And be honest. I'm not going to ask you to share. If you're brave and feel like group catharsis, great, totally throw it in the chat, but this is for you. So just take a minute and go, did someone really bug me this morning? Am I judging world events? Is there something in world events that are bothering me and I'm judging that and it's really bothering me? Just take a minute and write that down and just be with it and just get curious about it for just a minute. Okay, and keep writing if you're writing, but I'm just going to introduce the next little section of what we're kind of going to do with what you wrote down. So I love Byron Katie. Most of you on here are probably familiar with her. I found her work about 12 years ago and it completely started, I should say, I would love to say it completely changed my life, but understanding here and applying in a really seamless way. Two different things, but I started on the journey to awakening because of this book. And it was such a powerful book, but I love it. She has the work, right? And the work is judge your neighbor or judge yourself, judge a situation, judge a person, whatever that looks like for you. Write it down, ask 4 questions, and then turn it around. And I love, love, love this work. And so I like, and I love this story from her book. So I'm going to just read this to you all because it could not be said more perfectly. So I'm just going to read it verbatim. But Katie says, I have sat with many people on their deathbeds, and after we do the work, they always tell me that they're fine. I remember one very frightened woman who was dying of cancer, and she had requested that I come and sit with her. So I did. I sat down beside her and said, I don't see a problem. And she said, no? Well, I'll show you a problem. And she pulled off the sheet, and one of her legs was twice the size. It was so swollen, it was twice the size of her normal leg. And I looked and I looked and I still couldn't find a problem. And she said, you must be blind. Look at this leg. Now look at the other one. And then I said, oh, now I see the problem. You're suffering from the belief that that leg should look like this one. Who would you be without that thought? And she got it. She began to laugh, and the fear just poured out through her laughter. She said that it was the happiest she had ever been in her life. Oh, I love that so much. And so mindfulness asks, what painful thoughts am I carrying around right now? What backpack of boulders have I packed up with a bunch of stories that I just picked up somewhere along the way and have decided that it's helpful to tell myself? And so let's break down a few examples of toxic or inaccurate thoughts. So my child shouldn't be acting this way. For parents, or hey, if you're in grandparent phase, my grandchild shouldn't be acting this way. Usually by the time we're grandparents, we've learned a little something about not judging the situation, or their kids shouldn't be acting that way, or that person shouldn't be acting this way. But let's stick with child for a minute. I had my firstborn son had a lot of issues in school. I was constantly getting called into the principal's office. I was constantly getting messages from the teachers, and it was so painful. I would burst into tears as a young mom. I would just burst into tears, and then I would be so frustrated and fearful. And let's think about that for a minute. What happens when we have pride, or we're attaching our child's behavior to our self-worth, right? Then we're going to be angry and frustrated with that child because they're making us look bad. But let's take it much deeper than that. How much scarier does it get when fear is behind the steering wheel of that situation? That is absolutely terrifying. And parents, I mean, as a mom, like, you guys can tell me if you've ever done this, but I go from 0 to 60. I go from, he really can't get it together at school. He had an impulse issue where he wouldn't think things through. And it's crazy how upset I was now. And I'm like, oh, it could have been so much worse, but we're just in our own dream, right? But it was so crazy to notice that as soon as fear is behind the steering wheel, I'm like, he's going straight to jail. He's going to be a sociopath. He's learning and growing, and this is his job as a human on the planet. This is his job as a third grader, is to figure out what works, what doesn't, to learn how to control, his impulses and his thoughts. And that's his job. But how differently do we parent if we're parenting from a place of fear and terror? So I put this in. So when we're parenting from presence, we say, it's normal for my child to make mistakes as he learns and grows. That is absolute truth, right? Do we know a single child who just seamlessly did it perfectly? But why do our brains tell us that there are children out there doing it perfectly? And why do we tell ourselves, just because this little girl is being perfect in 3rd grade, how do I know what she's going to be like at 16? I don't. And when we compare, it's painful. And when we judge, it's painful. But when we're parenting from a space of presence and we go, this is normal, we embody the gentle teacher, right? And our job then is to educate our child. But when we're educating from fear, we're the fearful disciplinarian. You shouldn't be this way, and you're hurting me, and you're ruining my life. You're ruining how I want things to be. And, we, as parents, we get to learn the lesson of not making our children responsible for our internal states, right? So it's so different when we parent from a place of fear, where we then don't show up as our best selves, versus presence, which we can be so gentle and we go, oh, I'm your coach. I'm your mentor. I'm here to just let you know this isn't going to work for you, but I'm not going to do it from a place of anger. I'm going to do it from a place of peace. And then examples of toxic or inaccurate thoughts. I don't want my child to have difficult, sad, or harmful experiences. And let's just think about that one for a minute. What have helped each of you here today? What has helped you grow the most? Was it life being easy, or was it the hardest stuff you've been through? Because I will tell you right now that what I went through in 2020 was the most hideous, indescribably painful thing. I know that I cannot describe to you the level of pain that I experienced, pain and fear, the level of disrupt that my family experienced, that we're still trying to financially recover from all of the medical. I didn't even tell you, I mean, we do not have the time, but there was so much, right? I wouldn't trade one day because it completely changed who I am in all the best ways. And it added to, I'm still who I am, but I'm so much happier and I'm so much more settled and awake and aware. And I was bullied really horribly in 6th grade, and it was the most awful experience. And um, it broke me wide open. I'm so much more compassionate. I was so much more thoughtful through junior high and high school. And I'm so grateful for that experience so that I didn't make mistakes that I would later regret and mistreat people in a way that I would later look back on and just really have a lot of self-loathing about. Our children, ourselves, like when we judge their experiences as not okay because they aren't ideal, we're really doing ourselves a large disservice. So, and then this is my favorite one. This is the other one I really want to talk to you guys a little bit about today. I feel very called to specifically, talk about this one. So I'm going to hop back so I can see you guys more fully. So I grew up with a mom who was very, very ill from the day I was born. Had chronic anxiety, which now I'm learning as a doula and childbirth educator. When you learn that a mother's stress in utero affects the baby in utero, it's kind of a big deal. So I grew up afraid of my body. And I remember laying on, my mom would just be laying on the couch. I was 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old. My mom would just be laying on the couch. And it turned out that there was mold toxicity happening in my house that was really affecting her. And her body was shutting down, but we couldn't get answers. She was going to the doctor. But I remember as a little 5-year-old, 6-year-old feeling with no question in my mind, my mom is going to die. And I remember wrestling with that and going to kindergarten and going to 1st grade and feeling different. Like my mom's going to die. Like any minute my mom's going to die, and bodies are not safe. The decision I made that I've found through my trauma healing is bodies are not safe. I'm not safe. Bodies are scary. Nobody has answers. And my aunt said the most amazing thing to me. So my aunt, who's my mom's little sister, and she kind of had a good eye, like a good perspective on our family's dynamics, right? You know how in your own family, you know what your own family's weird little things are. You're like, yeah, for lack of a better word, your weird little things, your weird stuff. Every family has it. Well, she said something to me that changed my life. I was in the thick of healing in 2020. Also, by the way, they put me on medication that dropped my blood pressure too low. So 2 months after all of this started, first day my husband went back to work, I blacked out walking to the bathroom and broke my wrist on the tile floor, home by myself. And so then I'm Marco Poloing with my aunt, and I'm just in a tizzy. I'm like, my life is so bad. It's never going to get better. This is not fair. Everybody else, their life is so good, like all of the whatever. And thankfully, my aunt is one of those people who just would look me in the eyes and speak the truth. And she said, I think you're really caught up. Headleys have a generational issue. We have an issue where we think we're special and we're not. And all my siblings are driving me, you're not special. And she's like, and that we approach illness that way. Oh, my illness is so much worse than everyone else's illness. It becomes all consuming, and I was like, you guys, it woke me up in the most powerful way. You're not special. It was the best thing anyone's ever said to me. I know we go through life, and in America, we're like, we want to be special. And you're trained to seek, affirmation and seek acceptance. But her saying that to me was so beautiful, because it was like, I'm not special. What I'm dealing with is not unhealable. What I'm dealing with is not worse than any other pile of problems that anybody else is dealing with. And it freed me in this incredible way. And, as an example, she's a single mom. She was going through a horrible divorce. That probably helped her be a little more blunt with me, because she's like, okay, princess, listen, I'm in absolute hell right now. So let's not talk about how hard your life is. But, and I was in hell too, let's be clear, but she was so powerful in just, all right, wake up. I love you enough to say, wake up. But so here's a great example. She had 2 minor children still at home, horrific custody battle dealing with these minor children, helping her daughter set up a room in their new house, right, in their apartment. So they were building a canopy bed, like one of those cute canopy beds. And they were in the middle of building it. Her 17-year-old accidentally let go of one of the large metal pieces, and it fell down and chunked and it hit her in the head and split her head open. This single mom, and he's 17, luckily so he drove her to urgent care because it completely split her head open. And she went, they got 5 staples in her head at urgent care. So it wasn't emergency room, urgent care. 5 staples in her head. She comes home and finishes building the bed and finishes hanging and decorating the room and moves on. And then she's Marco Poloing me later and goes, oh yeah, so I split my head, oh, he accidentally dropped the bed and it split my head. And so I went up, and she even was watching her words, my friends. She was watching her words. She said, it hurts. And she said, well, it doesn't hurt. It's just kind of sore. She's so guarded and careful about what she speaks into her life that she wouldn't even be. And let me be real. Okay. So that's her experience, right? It was inconvenient. I was at urgent care for 2 hours. I got staples in my head. I came home and completely redecorated my daughter's bedroom. In that situation, would be a Victorian woman with consumption who needs a little bit of time by the seaside. Okay. Like I would have been at urgent care. I would have put it on my Facebook, and I would have been having 100 of my dearest friends telling me, I'm praying for you. I'm so sorry. Right. And then I would have been in bed for 5 days. I would have had people bringing meals. Right. And that's fine too. It's also okay to have people love us and nurture us and be there for us. But guess what? She's a single mom, and she really wanted her daughter to have a beautiful room. And she wasn't going to let a little annoyance get in the way of that. And that's what I noticed, wow, there are examples in my life of people going through hard things just like me, but they're going through them completely differently. They keep moving, right? They say, what's the Churchill? Are we misattributing that quote? If you're going through hell, keep going. That is what we need to be doing. And that was the ticket for me. And it was like, you're not special, moving on. And it helped me so much with my health anxiety, because I was also being able to enter the space of radical acceptance. My heart, by the way, part of my dysregulated nervous system was I had a racing heart for 6 months. Almost always. I would say 90% of my day, I had a racing heart. Couldn't fall asleep until about 2 a.m. because my heart wouldn't stop or slow down. I would finally be able to get it to go down. And I just started saying, anyway, moving on. That's my favorite phrase now. Moving on. Everyone's life is hard, but I get to choose what I do with my heart. And that's the only choice I have. And it's such a powerful thing when we realize that. So let me screen share and we'll just wrap up a little bit. So I just loved that victim mentality. Just thankfully, and I would encourage all of you in insightful ways, in loving and compassionate ways. And this is the goal I have for myself, is I want to be that voice for someone else to wake people up from their nightmares and their untrue beliefs that are holding them back. We want to make sure that it's always with someone who we know it has place with them, and we do it from a really loving, heart-centered place. But it changed my life, and I realized I want to do more of that where I feel called to do it. And there's a making of an asking. I'm not saying, let's go around and give unsolicited advice and judgment. I'm not saying that. But when you feel called upon and when you're having a genuine heart-to-heart discussion, we can all do so much for other people as we speak truth. So I loved that. You're not special. And we're going to skip so we'll do this one really fast. Another example of a toxic or inaccurate thought. My spouse should do more thoughtful things for me, right? So judge your neighbor, write it down, ask 4 questions, and turn it around. We'll jump right to the turnarounds, because these can help you so much get out of a funk. And you can maybe play around with this one with whatever you wrote down today, or like try to write it in a statement like this, and then you can turn it around. But my spouse should do more thoughtful things for me. I just feel like he or she is not really thoughtful. He or she really doesn't get me flowers, or she didn't do, make my favorite dessert on Sunday. We can write this whole story. But the turnaround is, I should do more thoughtful things for me. How powerful is that? I should do more thoughtful things for me. We come into this world alone. We're going to go out of this world alone. And no one can give you love that you aren't willing to feel in and of yourself. Like self-love, like love starts here with each of us. So you don't need anyone to do more thoughtful things for you, but maybe what your mind is and your psyche is calling for in an inadvertent way is, I need to take better care of me. maybe I should go get that massage. Maybe I should go get that therapy appointment. Maybe I should go, sit in a park and read a book and just give myself the time and space to do what I need. And that's even, I'm going to get, for busy moms, I'm going to get a babysitter and I'm going to do more thoughtful things for me. So I should do more thoughtful things for my spouse. Because once again, instead of saying to your spouse, I just feel really bad because you're never doing thoughtful things for me, what we could do is lead. And we just go, what could I be doing for him or her that would help them feel so much more loved, cared for? Because that will naturally, and we don't do it for ulterior motives, but it does naturally awaken in the other person more grace and more thoughtfulness toward you. My husband, as I was healing, he just gave me so much space. And at one point when I was hypervigilant, I was really snappy, which that is not my natural tendency. And he is my best friend. He's such a good man. But in this weird state, there were about 2 months where I was really hypervigilant, just always darting side to side. Loud noises would jump me out of my skin. And if anything was even a slightly minor inconvenience, I would snap at him. And then I would burst into tears and I would apologize. And he would say, oh my goodness, I have someone at my door. Hold on one second. I'm so sorry. Hi. Oh, sorry. I'm doing a live thing. I just wanted to hug you. Okay. Hi, Charlie. Thank you. I love you. Bye. Okay, you guys, I'm so sorry. That's so funny. We have the cutest neighbor boy who comes and knocks, and he will keep knocking. So I knew I had to get that door. I expected no one to be here. It was an amazing friend who was here to give me a hug. I'm so sorry. So anyway, but with my husband, he always gave me so much space. And then guess what? When he went through a really hard time, the last little while, I feel like he has some trauma responses now that he needs to work through because of what we went through in 2020. I am so ready to give him grace and space and hold space for him as he does his healing work, because he did it for me. So as we as we do that for other people, we open the windows and the doors for those things to be done for us. And finally, this is so good. One of my favorite turnarounds she does, and it's so counterintuitive. My spouse shouldn't do more thoughtful things for me. And this can allow, first of all, it's just loving what is. It's he or she. I'll use he because I have a he, but he shouldn't do more thoughtful things for me. Why do I think that? Because he doesn't. And that's reality. And when I fight against reality, it's very stressful and painful and hard. And when I go with it, I have peace. And the other thing that my mind goes to when I read this phrase is fill in the blank. So my spouse shouldn't do more thoughtful things for me because look at what he's already doing. Oh my gosh, he earns for our family. He helps with our kids, which he should do because it's his kid too. Let's be clear. He helps with our children. My husband's mom just passed away a few months ago. And it's like, he shouldn't do more thoughtful things for me right now. Actually, he should do exactly what he's doing because he has a lot. And so I love that one too. Oh, my friend should be a better friend to me. My friend should reach out to me and she should plan things with me. No, she shouldn't. How do we know she shouldn't? Because she's not. And it's probably for a really good reason. I always tell my friends, I will go do anything with you. I would love to do it. My mind doesn't naturally think of that. I'm doing so many things with my business, with my children, with my life. It doesn't occur to me to reach outward. But when someone reaches inward and invites me outward, I'll take that invitation any chance I can get. But I just am really clear about that. I'm like, I just don't naturally do that. But one of my distant friends could be home judging me and being really annoyed, but that's just all in her head. I'm over here just doing my best, right? So 2 things, if we could take away 2 things from today, I would love them to be breathe, which we all know, but just your friendly reminder. Fastest way to get back into our body is to breathe. And the next one is just ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? And be willing to accept, acknowledge, witness the answer, and then also get curious about what that answer is and why that might be. I also love the quote, everything I need is within me. And many of us are coaches, facilitators, people who work in healing and thought work and all of those things. And it's so great because I think that having an extra pair of eyes and an extra brain on a situation can be so incredibly helpful. But I always, always want to empower my clients and anyone within the sound of my voice to remember that everything you need is within you. It's in the stillness. It's in that space where you are choosing, to be still, be real with yourself, and be okay. I love the I am willing. Okay. Keep in mind, I am willing to feel this way. I can't feel this way again. I can't go through this again. I'm willing to, because I know it'll all be okay. And I love my favorite quote I've been telling everyone lately. I saw it on Instagram, but I'm going to make sweatshirts if anyone wants to get on the list. I'm just kidding, but I really might, but it'll just be for cost. I'm not trying to make a business out of sweatshirts. That sounds really stressful for me. But the quote is, sorry for freaking out earlier. I didn't know everything was going to be okay. And I was like, okay, sorry for freaking out earlier. I didn't know everything was going to be okay. And one promise I actually feel really confident making each of you today is it is going to be okay. And when we access mindfulness and when we go into stillness, we can feel the truth of that for ourselves. So that is my presentation today. Those are my challenges. I do have a 3-day meditation immersion coming up this weekend. This was so perfect. It was perfect timing. And you guys are invited. It's totally free. It has a $19 price tag in general. This community and anyone that you would like to share it with, it's free to you. So I'm not selling you anything. I'm also not going to hit you up to sell you more things in the future. This is just, I just thought it would be so important and meaningful and helpful to have an opportunity for stillness as we go into the holiday season. And really quickly, these are the meditations we're going to have. So it's only 3 days and it's on your own terms. Like it said right there, see that? Online, on your own terms and in the comfort of your own home. On those days, you can do it anytime you want. I'll have a few videos and tips and things, but you can watch them anytime you want. And so the first day you get 3, the second day you get 3, the third day you get 3. So it's intended for morning and evening, and then there's a bonus meditation for anytime you can fit it in to just take, and these are 10 minutes. Hyperimperia that you see listed there, that one is 20 minutes. I'm trying to see if there are any other ones. Your energy centers is a little bit longer, I think 14 minutes, but these are an incredible tool to help you get back into your body, to get back into the present day. And then the bonus, I couldn't pick. So these are from my 40-day meditation challenge, and I couldn't pick 9. So I picked 11, which is a great number, right? 11. But Eye of the Hurricane, if you see there under bonus, Eye of the Hurricane, that is such a powerful meditation to be taking into your practice going into the holiday season, because it's teaching you no matter what is swirling around you, no matter how many things are on your to-do list, you can be the calm within the storm. You can be that peaceful feeling. And so I just really want to challenge all of you guys to, and you also don't have to do the meditation challenge. You can just know that right now in your heart. I can be the calm in the center of the storm. There is a total peaceful, still center in the center of in the eye of every hurricane. There's total stillness, and we can be that stillness in our own lives. And thank you so much for having me, and let me know if you have any questions. And I can put the link to signing up for this in the chat right now really quickly if that would be helpful. But anyway, Michelle, back to you. I'm going to just turn it over. I'll stop sharing.
Perfect, Laura. And also, if you will send me that link, I'll include it in the replay to everybody in the email so that they can get that information as well.
Okay, perfect. I will do that.
One benefit to attending live is if you have a question for Laura, we have a couple minutes for that. I saw, Carolyn, that you had written something down. And so, Laura, it is in the chat. It's just like 4 questions up. Are there 4 question suggestions to ask about situations that we're stuck in?
Yes.
And if anyone else has a question, feel free to throw it in the chat.
Okay. Yes. So the 4 questions are, and everyone can write these down. So like, let's say my spouse should do nicer things for me, right? My spouse should do more thoughtful things for me. Is it true? The first thing you can ask, like, so, right, come up with your statement that is like, this is how things should be, right? Is it true? Then the second question is, can you really know that that's true? Could you prove it in a court of law? Do we, and what she's asking, that second, is it true, is giving us an opportunity to say, what does reality show us? What are these things, what does this teach us? Like what's reality? What are we looking at? 3 is, how do you feel when you think the thought and then they don't do it? So I have the thought, my husband shouldn't. So I love this one too. Let's switch it. People should love and accept, my family should love and accept me for who I am. How do you feel when you believe that thought and then they don't? They're judgy or they have opinions on how you should live your life. How do you feel when they don't, when you think that thought? And then fourth is, who would you be without that thought? Right? So is it true? Can you really know that it's true? How do I feel when I think that thought? And who would I be without that thought? Yeah.
I love that. Okay, I haven't seen any other questions come in. Laura, I loved like the journey that you took us on today, beginning with something so simple like taking a breath when I'm driving and I get to my stop sign, all the way toward being able to like honor and allow some of the deepest and most challenging feelings to experience. So I loved like that spectrum that you shared with us about all the different ways that mindfulness shows up for us. Before we close, I want to invite everybody to take just a couple minutes and reflect on your intention from the beginning of our time together today. Is there something that you want to take forward from today? Maybe it's literally something that was shared, or maybe it's a thought or impression that came to you as we were here learning together, maybe an action you feel moved to take, a person you feel moved to connect with. What are you hoping to remember from our time together today? You can share in the chat if you would like, or this can just be a moment within you. Look at us collectively having a mindful moment right now. I love it. Thank you so much, Laura, for being here today, for preparing to bring so much insight, goodness, and so many tools with us today. Where can people connect with you? If people learn more from you or connect with you, where can they find you?
So everything is, it's funny because this is the Mindwell Collective and I'm at Blackwell Collective. So
Perfect.
I'm at blackwellcollective@gmail.com is my email. So just Blackwell Collective, all one word, no underscores, no anything. So just blackwellcollective@gmail. And I'm the same. I'm at Blackwell_collective on Instagram and Laura Blackwell Dugovic on Facebook. I love connecting with everybody. I'm mostly on Instagram and Facebook, as
Perfect.
the over 40 crowd, maybe.
100%. And also on our collective website, there is a link to Laura's website there as well. So you can always come to home base and find her in that way. So thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time and bringing your light and your goodness into this space today. I could feel it. I feel uplifted being here with you all today. This concludes November Learning Lunch. Next, we will be meeting in December. Judy Graybill and I will be co-presenting, talking about maybe some how to navigate difficult conversations just in time for those holiday dinners and things that may come up. So that will be something that will be a fun conversation. And one thing that I continue to get reminded of is that each one of us needs each other. And I am so thankful that you are here today. Thank you.